Campbell Brown.
No bias, no bull.
CNN weeknights, 8 Eastern.
So what I'm about to say probably falls into the category of too much information, but so what? Twice every workday, I close the door to my office and I spend about 15 minutes pumping breast milk for my 5-month-old. I have read the endless articles about the benefits of breast milk, and I was convinced, so this is what I do every day. Breastfeeding, of course, is a personal choice, and I totally understand women who choose to give their babies formula instead. But given the very tough economic climate we're in, the cost of formula is out of reach for a lot of working mothers, and pumping breast milk at work becomes a real necessity. Why am I talking about this, you may wonder? It is because of what I have taken for granted, that I work for a company that makes it very easy for me to pump milk every day for my kid. And that is not at all the situation for so many other women. Take a look. After 20 days on the job at a Totes Isotoner warehouse, Lenisa Allen was fired.
I just don't think that it's fair that, we have to lose our jobs in order to feed our kids.
Lenisa's son, Travion, was 4 months old when she went for an interview.
I did go into the hiring supervisor and asked her, if there was somewhere that I can pump, because I was breastfeeding my son. She called me and let me know that it would be at 11 o'clock in the bathroom. For the first few days, Lenisa went to the public bathroom and pumped her breast milk during her 30-minute lunch break at 11 a.m. It was an arrangement doctors call unhealthy at best.
Public bathrooms are easily the most bacterially contaminated, flat out the dirtiest places in the building. No one would want to eat anything that was produced in a public restroom, and asking a baby who has lower immune defenses than the average adult, asking a baby to eat food that came from that source is really ridiculous.
And there was another problem for Lenisa. The warehouse break schedule forced her to wait 5 hours to pump. A new mom is supposed to pump on the same feeding schedule as her baby, about every 3 hours. Forcing her to wait until 11 a.m., an extra 2 hours, meant that Lenisa's breast would get engorged, causing her intense pain and reducing the amount of milk she was producing for her son. Feeling desperate, Lenisa decided to take matters into her own hands.
I watched people for 3 and 4 weeks, take bathroom breaks and smoke breaks, but no one ever said anything to them about that. So I don't see what the problem was with me taking the same 15-minute break that they did.
Lenisa started going to the bathroom an hour earlier. She asked her team leader to cover for her, and she took about 15 minutes to pump. After 2 weeks on this schedule, a supervisor walked into the bathroom and confronted her.
I said, just give me 15 minutes, I will work through my lunch. I said, but I need to, come to the bathroom earlier to pump my milk because it was hurting my back so bad.
That same day, Lenisa was fired. Totes Isotoner has declined multiple requests by CNN for an interview. In a statement, they said, this was a case about a temporary warehouse employee repeatedly taking additional paid breaks without informing her supervisors. As always, we will continue to provide nursing mothers with the appropriate time, flexibility, and facilities to meet their individual needs.
It's many women out there that has quit their jobs. They've quit their jobs. They feel like that, that we don't have any words as far as being able to pump our milk.
Lenisa sued Totes Isotoner, taking her case all the way to the Ohio Supreme Court. She lost. The courts ruled this case was only about unauthorized breaks.
Go!
Travion is now a busy 4-year-old, and with the recent attention from her court battle, Lenisa is a hero for working moms with fan mail and all.
Please accept my sympathy. I pumped in dirty restrooms for 10 years. And got sick 3 times and was hospitalized.
There are now 24 states with laws addressing the issue of breastfeeding moms in the workplace. Ohio is not one of them. So, do we need a nationwide law to protect nursing mothers? Joining me right now is one woman who thinks we do. New York Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, who has introduced a bill to help new moms in the workplace. And also back here with me is CNN senior legal analyst Jeff Toobin. Congresswoman Maloney, you're trying to help women like Lenisa. If your bill becomes a law, what would change?
Well, women like Lenisa, or any woman who chose to become a mother and chose to breastfeed or pump in the workplace, workplace would be provided with an appropriate time to to pump their milk and not be fired.
So what would you say, though, to business owners who are likely to say this is a burden on us to try to make these sort of accommodations for working mothers?
Well, really, we have to accommodate to the 21st century. Now, half of working mothers with children under a year or less are working. And they're a part of the workforce. They need the income to support their families, and we should have policies that recognize that a woman should not lose her job because of her choice to become a mother and her choice to breastfeed or pump milk to support and nurture that child.
Jeff, as we saw in this piece, I mean, the courts ruled against her, but you took a close look at the decision. What did you think about the ruling? It was very narrow, right?
It was a narrow decision, and the thing that was really galling, I thought, about the ruling is even if they ruled against Lanisha, they had a chance to say, this is a form of discrimination. It may not have taken place in this case, but firing a woman because she's nursing is a form of discrimination. But they didn't say that, and Congress hasn't said it yet. And one thing that the Ohio Supreme Court and Congress have in common is that they're mostly men. And men are made uncomfortable by this issue.
Do you think that's part of the problem, Congresswoman?
Well, I would say that study after study, the National Institute for Health, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Center for Disease Control have all said that breastfeeding is good for the child, good for the mother, makes a healthier child. We all say that we support family values, and why do I keep hearing from women who are fired for pumping in a lavatory? I wouldn't want to have my lunch in a lavatory, and I don't think we should. It's very sad that that is where women have to go to pump their milk. I've talked to women who've been fired for pumping off of premises, and what my bill would do is say that you cannot discriminate against women in this way. It would be predictable for businesses and women that they would be allowed to pump during an appropriate break. It also provides tax incentives to businesses to deductions for creating a lactation room.
How do you change the thinking? The courts and Congress aside, why does a company like Totes Isotoner fight something like this and go all the way to the Ohio Supreme Court?
Well, I think their argument was she had only worked there for 20 days. There were other reasons why she was fired. They say that they treat women, including breastfeeding women, well in general. But I think the problem here is that this is not considered a right under American law, at least in many, many states. And the irony is that smoking breaks are so institutionalized everywhere, and everybody gets them, and that makes you sick. And breastfeeding makes everybody healthier, but that's harder to get.
That was, of course, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney and our own Jeff Toobin.